We finished last time with a discussion of what sin is, because if we don't know what sin is, we can't solve the problem of sin. We need to know why we are sinners, condemned and lost before God's throne. And so at this point, we're going to look at some more Bible texts and some references from the writings of Ellen White and see what we can learn that will help us in our study. We ended with James chapter 4, verse 17, and I want to begin with that. Therefore to him that knoweth to do good, and doeth it not, to him it is sin. Not the person who is just born that way, but who knows what is right and does not do what is right. To him it is sin. I want to look at James chapter 1, verses 14 and 15. Very crucial subject of the difference between temptation and sin. Verse 14, James 1, But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. Then when lust hath conceived, it bringeth forth sin. And sin, when it is finished, bringeth forth death. So you have several steps here. We are drawn. We are drawn of our own lust. What is lust? Any desire or feeling which is out of harmony with the will of God. We are drawn. It is enticing. We are enticed. It conceives and brings forth sin. So notice that the sin product is the result of several steps: drawn, enticed, conceived, and then sin enters the picture. So that is crucial to understand the difference between temptation and sin. So at this point, we are looking at what temptation is. And tragically, as far as I've been able to tell, most Christians don't understand the difference between temptation and sin. Most Christians believe that if they are pulled by some thought or some desire or some attitude in their hearts and minds, they have automatically sinned. But I don't think that's what the Bible teaches. Notice carefully, it says we are drawn, we are enticed, and conceiving is the birth process. Conceiving is the process of bringing forth something that was not there before, and what is not there before was sin. So drawing and enticing are part of the temptation process, not part of the sin process. And I want to share something here which I think is crucially important from Testimonies, Volume 5, page 177. The sin of evil speaking begins with the cherishing of evil thoughts. Guile includes impurity in all its forms, an impure thought tolerated, an unholy desire cherished, and the soul is contaminated. Now notice that very carefully. The cherishing of evil thoughts, an impure thought tolerated, an unholy desire cherished. Now that's not the same as the thought coming to us. That is the thought cherished, held on to, made our thought. We are living with that desire and that thought in our hearts, and that contaminates the soul. No man can be forced to transgress. His own consent must be first gained. The soul must purpose the sinful act before passion can dominate over reason, or iniquity triumph over conscience. Temptation, however strong, is never an excuse for sin. He knows how strong are the inclinations of the natural heart, and He will help in every time of temptation. So there is a clear and important distinction between temptation and sin. And tragically, most Christians have turned temptation into sin and believe that because the thought came into their minds, came into their heart, therefore they are sinning before God. Temptation is not sin. Testimonies, Volume 1, page 116. Said the angel, if light comes, and that light is set aside to reject it, then comes condemnation and the frown of God. But before the light comes, there is no sin, for there is no light for them to reject. And I really wonder how the English language could be any clearer on this subject. If the light comes, and that light is set aside or rejected, then comes condemnation. Not at birth, but at the time we reject light, which is truth. Before the light comes, there is no sin. It seems to me that we have a clear understanding here of the difference between guilt and evil in our world. Two different aspects, two different results, two different solutions. From Review and Herald, March 27, 1888. There are thoughts and feelings suggested and aroused by Satan that annoy even the best of men, but if they are not cherished, if they are repulsed as hateful, the soul is not contaminated with guilt, and no other is defiled by their influence. So thoughts and feelings suggested and aroused by Satan, yes, they annoy the best of human beings, but if they are not cherished, the soul is not contaminated with guilt. So I think we have there some clear evidence from Scripture and from the writings of Ellen White that sin in the sense of guilt is not part of our birth state. It is not part of being born in that way. It is a choice that we are making. It is always a choice against God. And so that's the subject of sin. Why is that important? Because if we have a wrong concept of sin, if we say that sin is a birth state that we will live with all the days of our life, then everything we do is sin, because that's just the way we are, because we have a fallen nature. But if sin is always a choice, that means that I must make a decision every day between what is right and what is wrong, what is good and what is evil. And God does not condemn because we are tempted. He condemns only when we yield to temptation. We are not sinners because we happen to be born in that situation. That's our first step in the process of the gospel in 10. We are trying to understand what makes the difference between righteousness and sin.